Mr. Smashin Frog Mitch Aguiar, how are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good.
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. You are a Navy SEAL who put up an 11-1 amateur record, and now you are turning professional. So your first opponent will be Brandon Pennington. That's going down at SFL 32, January 27th. How are things?
Things are good. I'm ready for the fight. I'm ready for the year. You know, I'm not that I'm looking past this fight, but I'm definitely got my sights set on bigger goals.
The million-dollar question, I'm sure you get this non-stop being a Navy SEAL. What made you go the military route, and more specifically, what made you want to become a Navy SEAL?
To be honest, I never had the intention of joining the military, and you know, I really didn't even know what the Navy SEALs were. I just graduated high school and kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I was living in Ohio at the time. I'd been living there for 2 years and graduated high school and wasn't sure really what I wanted to do. And a Navy recruiter happened to walk in and was like, "Hey, do you want to join the Navy?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And he was like, "Well, you look like you're in good shape. Do you want to be a SEAL?" And I was like, "I guess." I don't know what they are, or whatever. And my mom was there, and she was like, "Yeah, they're like the rock stars of the military, and I could see you being a SEAL." And I was like, "Okay, cool, sign me up." And I signed up, and I had no idea what I was getting into, but I made the choice, told people that I was going to do it, so
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, not a lot of people, I'm sure, try out, but not a lot of people actually make it through the screening process. So, I mean, what was the feeling like when you were actually selected, you made it through BUD/S, you're going to be a SEAL? What was that feeling like?
Well, I mean, it's such a huge goal that people set, and there's a ton of steps that it takes. You don't just sign up, take a test, and now you're a SEAL. So it's a really long road and a long process, and hurdles left and right, and I just kind of took it one day at a time, one evolution at a time, and there's a saying like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I just kind of focused on that, took it step by step, and once I, by the time you actually become one, I mean, I was in training for almost 22 months or something like that. So you're ready to be one by the time you become one.
Being a SEAL, I mean, it's legendary here in the U.S. I mean, that's like, you have your heroes, and then you have Navy SEALs, right? It's like the next level. Now, what made you decide to leave something so special, something so prestigious, something so rare?
It's definitely a great accomplishment, and it's held in a very high regard and all that, but it's not, there's more to life to me than being a Navy SEAL, and that was just one chapter, and I'm ready for a new one, and there's guys that are still in, and and that's their passion, and they love what they do, and they want nothing else, and they're happy doing that, and that's awesome, and I think those guys are the ones that are going to be those heroic, legendary SEALs, and they're going to be what you imagine, a Navy SEAL in your head, and I was a SEAL, I did my part, and I was happy to do my part and contribute, and I got to be around some amazing guys like you're describing, that really do fit that criteria, and it's pretty humbling and super incredible to even be around and associated with that. For me, as I grew up or got a little older, I did a couple deployments and everything, and I got into martial arts, and fighting is really like fist fighting is kind of like my passion, you know, and martial arts has become my passion, and my priorities kind of shifted with that. And when I saw that I got to go out to Black House MMA and train with, you know, some of the top level guys in the world, and when I did that, I realized that it wasn't, you know, just like an unrealistic dream to fight in the UFC. You know, it was something that these are just normal guys just like me, and they, you know, applied themselves, put in the work, and now they're at the level they're at, just like I did to become a SEAL, you know, and just different focused energy. So and I was at the time, I was at the point in my military career where I needed to kind of, you know, either stay in and ride it out, and that's what I was going to do, or get out and pursue the UFC. And, you know, I'm 28 years old, so I think, you know, the UFC is the young man's game. You know, Father Time waits for no one, and I think it was I just had to make a decision, you know, to go one way or the other, and I'm just not the type to, like, I don't want to live in regret and like wonder what if, you know, or like, man, I could have fought in the UFC, or I could have fought at that level, you know, but I just don't want to live in that woulda, shoulda, coulda. So I had been a SEAL for 10 years. I had lived that, I experienced it, you know, it was great, and, you know, I was okay with walking away from it and starting a new chapter. And, you know, it's kind of like when, you know, mountain climbers, you know, they climb up to the top of a mountain, they climb up to Everest or something like that, you know, they don't build a house up there, you know, they take a look around, they enjoy it and take in the experience and learn from it and all that, and then they climb another mountain. So I'm ready to climb another mountain.
I dig it. Now, while you were an active duty SEAL, you managed to amass an 11-1 amateur record, which is a pretty solid record. A lot of guys don't even take the time to have that many amateur fights. They'll maybe do 3 or 4 and then try to go pro somewhere. What was it about your come up that made you want to have such a lengthy amateur career?
Well, I didn't. When I started fighting competitively, it was, you know, it was just for fun. And I like I said, I love fighting. I love competing and everything. So that was just something I wanted to do for fun. And at the time that I did my first amateur fight, I was still active duty, obviously, and I didn't plan on getting out of the teams. I just wanted to fight on the weekends, essentially for fun. And you know, some guys go skydiving on the weekends, some guys ride dirt bikes, whatever. Fun to me was fighting, and this was something I could do legally and like not get in trouble, and like, you know, and when you win, it's like people are happy, and it was just right up my alley. So I just wanted to do it for fun, and then it wasn't, I think, until after I won the middleweight title at Spartyka when I fought Sam Vanderslice. After that, I got invited out to Black House, and that's kind of when, like, the realization hit me that, like, oh man, maybe I could fight at this level. But at that time, I still had, you know, so much time on my contract, and I still, like, wasn't sure. I was still, like, thinking about staying in the teams, but the more I fought and the better I got and everything, and the more I just thought about it, I was like, man, I really want to take a crack at this and pursue the UFC. And, you know, I would have went pro a long time ago, but, you know, just my job wouldn't let me. And, you know, I really didn't think it was that big of a deal, because in Virginia, as you know, the rule set is the exact same as the pros. You know, there's day before weigh-ins, elbows, knees, kicks, all that is legal. You know, just there's no difference other than you getting a paycheck. And I was getting a paycheck in the military. So, and, you know, like I said, I just wanted to fight for fun. So whether it was an amateur fight or pro fight, it didn't matter to me. You know, a punch in the face from me, whether you call me an amateur or a pro, is going to feel the same. Jimmy's venue, the Spartyka Fight League, that's the main like venue that I've done all my fights from. And I've been all around the world and country and seen all these fight promotions, and in my opinion, the only two shows that have outdone Spartyka Fight League are Bellator and UFC. And that says something.
Well, yeah, Spartyka Fight League, of course, East Coast promotion. It's an amateur league turning pro, their first pro event, January 27th. I know the founder, Jimmy Partica, is active duty military also. He's in the Navy. Is that how you guys linked up?
No. Somebody had just told me, like, hey, there's a fight league. You should sign up for it. And I can't remember who. I remember being at a bar, and I think I had just gotten in a fight. I'd like beat up somebody that was just being an asshole, and they were like, man, you should fight in that fight league. And I was like, what fight league? And they're like, oh, Spartyka Fight League. So I looked it up and just was like, yeah, I'm down.
Now, I know Spartyka, they give belts out. If you win a title, you get a new belt every single time.
Yeah.
And I know you won the middleweight title, you won the welterweight title, and you defended a bunch of times. How many amateur belts do you actually have, and where do you keep them all?
I've got 9 of them, and I had them on the walls and stuff, but then whenever we go to the fight, we bring them all in a bag, and then after the fights we just drop them because they're heavy, they're heavy as hell. So they were just down here, just gold belts all over the place, but I just wanted to kind of declutter and moved them away. But
okay, I dig it. Now, so you're set for your very first pro fight. Brandon Pennington, I believe he called you out on social media, kept trolling you and trolling you. Finally, you agreed to the bout. Are you happy with your first pro matchup?
I am happy with it because I was kind of confused and surprised that Brandon was calling me out, and but before I even left the venue, I had heard I had a bunch of people in my ear, so and so called you out, so and so calling you out, so and so calling you out, and I was like, man, I feel like the McGregor of Spartyka Fight League, and essentially. That's the reason why is because I have a larger following on social media than most of the guys, I would say, and I feel like they think that they're going to get a lot of exposure from fighting me. So it's almost like I'm the money fight, even though there's we're not making UFC money, but they're more interested, I think, in the exposure and just kind of getting them out there. So I think that's why all these guys are calling me out. Unless they just think I'm an easy fight, but I don't know too many people who have gotten in that cage with me that would tell you that I'm an easy fight.
Yeah, so in your amateur career, you can find your fights on YouTube. You have a kind of this thing where you have this like a special intro when you come out. We saw the Gangnam Style one where you have your American flag Speedo and you're just kind of dancing around out there. Are we going to see the same thing for your pro career?
Definitely. Well, so the story behind that is it's actually called a sunga. It's a Brazilian swimwear cut. It's sort of like a Speedo / shorts mix. And my friend Jeff Gum and Kyle Maynard, they own a company called Loudmouth Patriot, and that's their article of clothing or whatever. So, I just wanted to support them, and, they wear a lot of my gear. I own MASF Apparel. Check them out, masfapparel.com.
MASFapparel.com.
MASFapparel.com, yeah. So we just help promote each other, and that was one way I thought would be pretty funny and, good exposure for their brand. So I went and got it like a cup sewn into it, or a sleeve, so I could put a cup in there, and it doesn't have pockets or anything, so it's actually like legal to wear, in a fight. And I just thought it was hilarious too, and and that's why I wore that. And I came out to Gangnam Style because all that stuff with Korea was going on at the time, North Korea, and I just thought it was funny, and like a lot of people took that as like me being cocky, and that's not really the case. It was just me showing like I'm having fun, like I'm doing what I love, and fighting is what I love. Like win, lose or draw, I like the act of fighting, you know. So I like the warrior mentality behind it, you know, like we're modern day gladiators, and you know that kind of stuff is just ingrained deep inside of me, the warrior culture, you know. So I really am like having a blast when I know like I get to go in that cage and fight, you know. So it's not me being cocky or whatever. It's me just showing, yeah, like I'm happy to be here. I'm having a great time.
So you're out of the military officially. You have your fight coming up, first pro fight. Is your training regimen gonna differ any now that it's professional instead of amateur?
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't really been training, so hopefully it will change. But I've just had so much going on, and you know, I'm a firm believer in, you know, that fighting is 90% mental and the other 10% in your head. And you know, when it comes to a mindset, a warrior mindset, mine's rock solid. So I stay in shape, you know, I do what I can, but I do a lot of things to kind of make sure my mind is strong, you know, my mind's ready, you know, because I feel like if you're clouded and your mind is just not in the right space or not in the right place, or, you know, you're not wanting to be there or something like that, you know, I feel like you can lose a fight before you ever step into the cage. And so I know how to fight. You know, of course I can get better. I'm not saying that I'm the best fighter or the most technical by any means, but I for sure am ferocious, and you know, I'm going to come at you with everything I have, and I'm never going to quit or give up.
Do you have a prediction for SFL 32?
I think that he is going to want to stand and exchange with me because he has a pro boxing background. But I feel like, and you know, and obviously if you watched any of my fights or anything, like everyone always says like, oh, you're sloppy, this and that. But if you talk to anybody who's been hit by my punch, you know, they'll tell you that that is not a punch you want to be hit by. And so I think that he's going to want to exchange with me until he feels that power. And, you know, maybe he'll want to kind of escape by going to the ground, and I think I'm going to choke him out.
Fair enough. Now, after you get your debut out of the way, what would be next for you? I mean, what's your long-term goal? Just kind of see how far you make it, or is it just getting to the UFC? Do you want to be UFC champ, or how far down the rabbit hole are you willing to go with this?
I mean, I'm definitely willing to go all the way. I mean, if being a UFC champion is, you know, in the cards, then right on, cool. I'm not going to be like heartbroken if I never become the UFC, you know, champion of the world. I'm okay with not reaching that. My goal, honestly, is to fight in the UFC. Like, that's what I set out to do, and, you know, that's what I want to do. So if I fight in a couple times in the UFC, like, I'm cool with that, and then I'm ready to climb a new mountain. You know, like it's not, I don't just put all my eggs in one basket, essentially.
Well, let me ask you this. You got any sponsors or any people that are helping you out on your journey that you want to give a special thank you to or a shout out to?
Yeah, right now, Strikeforce Energy, they're helping me out right now, and they've been with me for a long time. So thank you guys. Bottle Breacher as well. They're sponsoring me right now as well. And then personal friend of mine, Mark Sarasi, and he's been helping me out for a long time. And yeah, Bold Mariner. You know, those guys aren't really a sponsor, but good friends, and you know, they've been a big part of, you know, just getting me to this point. And also Green Devil Garage. And my friend Pat Tozzi, he owns that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm grateful, and I'm grateful for everyone who's helped me along the way get to where I am now, and I'm excited for the future.
Well, for the one or two people that are not already following you on social media, let's get your handles, your Instagrams, your Facebook. How can people take part in Mitch Aguiar?
Well, I pretty much only use Instagram, so you can follow me at Mitch_Aguiar. So it's MITCH_AGUIAR. Smashin Frog.
Awesome. Well, Mitch Aguiar, thank you so much for taking out the time. Brandon Pennington is in your crosshairs. SFL 32, January 27th. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you.